place for your amazing host.
Hey everyone, welcome to Sandals Church Kids. Here at Sandals Church, we are all about the vision of being real with ourselves, God, and others. My name is Joelle.
And I'm Chanel, and we're so excited to announce our brand new series called Detour.
Detour is a series about the story of the Israelites as they wander through the wilderness.
During this 6-week series, we'll go through the books of Exodus and Numbers as we talk about manna from heaven and the 10 Commandments.
We are going to learn so many cool stories about faithfulness, God's justice, and mercy.
But first, let's see what's coming up.
Coming up.
Want to know what happens when this top pops off and this pop gets popped? Find out on Detour.
I'm not totally sure what all that popping was for, but I guess we'll find out.
I can't wait. And here's what we're going to do today. First, we're going to start with a fun video, we'll worship together, and then we'll hear a Bible story and a story from a real person, someone who you may know, to share about how you can be real just like Jesus.
But before we hear our story, it's time for one of our favorite segments called Pre-Show!
Hey everybody, Mr. Coyote here with
Mrs. Coyote.
And I want to tell you guys about a trip that we took this summer. So we went to Universal Studios, but not just any Universal Studios. We went to Universal Studios Orlando, Florida, which we had never been to. I've wanted to go since I was a little kid, and the cool thing was we got to take our kids, but for them, it was actually a surprise.
So guys, we're not staying home this week. In like 10 minutes, we are gonna leave and we're gonna go get on an airplane. We're actually going to a place called Florida.
Yay! Why do I need a hat?
That's right, we woke them up early, we got to tell them where we were going, and then we drove all the way to Los Angeles, California, and let's just say we were pretty excited.
Good morning!
He's ready to go.
So after we got to the airport, we grabbed our tickets, we went through TSA, and Owen was super excited seeing all the planes come in.
And actually, this was only the second flight that Owen had ever gone on.
So as we finally made it to the plane and found our seats and got comfortable, we briefed the kids on safety protocols. You know, of course we wanted to keep things safe, make sure they knew what to do.
And I want to give you guys a super great plane tip. Bring chewing gum with you. That way you can chew it when you take off and when you land, and your ears won't get plugged.
Yes, and another tip, obviously bring some fun stuff. Grab a backpack, fill it with some games and toys and treats, whatever you can. And you know what? It was awesome. Now, after that, we took our car and we made it to the park. And as we were entering, man, I was so excited. And this park was super huge.
So to get around a park this huge, there was one super special way to do it. And the way to make that happen is to jump on a super magical train.
Yeah, and then we were able to stop by the castle. And then, of course, as huge fans of Jurassic Park, we found the Jurassic Park area of the land. It was so cool, and there were cars and everything. It was an exact replica of the visitor center from Jurassic Park. If you've seen that movie, it was really cool because we were like standing where the movie happened.
And we went on a flight through the sky just like pterodactyls would do. We swung around on fun little swings through the trees.
And as someone who loves old vintage comics books like Calvin and Hobbes and the Peanuts and Garfield, it was really cool to walk through their comic book zone and see all the comic books blown up in like larger than life. And of course, Popeye sitting there was so cool to see.
As we finished going through that land, we couldn't help but stop and wave to, I believe, your favorite superhero,
Absolutely.
and that's Spider-Man at the super awesome Spider-Man ride.
Plus, the ride was super cool. And then after that, we took a detour through Dr. Seuss Land. And man, like, there are no straight angles there. Like, everything is curved and everything is bouncy and bumpy and colorful.
One of our other favorite movies, Back to the Future. So, of course, we had to stop, take a couple quick pictures, and hang out with the DeLorean from those movies.
And we ended the day at the place that I have dreamed of going since I was a little kid, which was the Men in Black ride. Man, I love like science fiction movies and Star Wars and all of that, so I've wanted to go on this ride for so long, and it was so worth the wait. We stood in line, we got to see all of their gadgets and gizmos aplenty, and it was so awesome. And after that, man, here's our last tip for you. Get some food.
That's right.
At the end of your day, you've been walking around and you're tired. So we went and grabbed some food and we had a pretty amazing day. It was so fun getting to see all different types of things, and there was like a panda bear that was waving to us and all the different lands that they had there. And you know what? We realized that maybe it's the only trip that we'll take to Florida with our kids, and especially seeing their joy at this age was so fun.
That's right. Thanks so much, you guys, for coming on our adventure with us today. We will see you next time.
So fun! Next up, we're going to jump into a time of worship together, which means we're going to sing some songs that remind us about how amazing God is.
This is a great opportunity for you to really think about God and who He is, and also thank Him for all He has done for you.
Take a moment and get real with yourself and with God. Think about everything you have to be grateful for. Maybe take a moment to pray about it.
While you worship, feel free to close your eyes, raise your hands, and maybe even clap and dance around. This is a great opportunity for you to connect with God. Now, let's worship together.
Dear enemy, you were just a part of the plan for the hope and the future I now have. Dear enemy, my God is the master creator. Everything is better in His hands. You meant to hurt me, but God turned your evil into good. Sticks and stones. He's cooking me a feast with your fire. Yeah, He's using you to help me grow. He's pointing me to life with your arrows. He's building a throne with your sticks and stones. He's cooking me a feast with your fire. Yeah, He's using you to help me grow.
In the darkness, you are righteous. Jesus, you are the rightful King. Never changing, never failing. You've never given up on me. You will take the throne forever. All will bow righteous. Jesus, you are the rightful King. Never changing, never failing. You've never given up on me. You'll take the throne forever. All will bow and say, we will worship you forever young, forever free. So lift up a word, raise up a shout. For the God I love deserves his praises loud. So I will praise his name, praise his holy name, praise his name. Oh, every heart, every tongue confess the glories of his righteousness and praise his name. Oh, we might seem small singing in this room, but we aren't alone. No, we join in a choir of believers, billions strong. We sing praise his name, praise his holy name, praise his name. Whoa. Every heart, every tongue confess the glories of his righteousness and praise his name. Praise his name. Praise his holy name. Praise his name. Glory, 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 oh, glory, oh, glory, hallelujah.
All right, everyone, it's time to take a look at the Frosted Flakes from Heaven from our story about how God provided in the desert in Exodus 16.
It's time to open up Detour, a board game from Sandals Church Kids. We're going to find God's faithfulness in the desert of doubt in under 40 minutes.
Watch out for the gilded golden calf, help build the tabernacle, collect the manna and the 10 Commandments, and whatever you do,
Don't wander off the path. Can you get to the top of Mount Sinai and reach the promised land at the finish line? Sounds pretty fun. I think we should play.
this week we'll see how God gives us exactly what we need, and that means we can choose not to complain. Roll the dice, because we're taking a detour in 3, 2, 1.
Imagine if your parents woke you up early one morning and told you and your siblings to get dressed and get in the car without telling you why or where you were going.
You had no idea where they were taking you. And you were really tired, so you complained about having to wake up super early. And after a few hours of driving, you asked them for the 10th time, where are we going?
So then you started to get hungry, so you asked if you could grab fast food for breakfast, but your parents told you there wasn't any food for miles. You'd had enough. So you just started complaining and saying, why are we even doing this? I wish I was still at home.
Just then, you pulled into the parking lot of the coolest theme park you have ever seen. Your parents had pulled off the surprise of the century. And you had just told them you wished you were still back home.
So did you know that something really similar happened to a group of people in the Bible called the Israelites? Well, it's game night, so let's play Detour.
Our story left off with God miraculously saving Moses and the Israelites from their slavery by leading them out of Egypt. Now, after the Israelites safely crossed the sea, they found themselves in the desert wilderness. God miraculously provided them with water to drink, even though it seemed impossible. But the Israelites, they complained that they didn't have enough food. They wished that they were back in Egypt and said it would have been better to be slaves again than to be in the desert.
Can you believe that? Even though God had just saved them and provided them with water to drink, they still didn't trust God's plan for them. So God promised Moses and the Israelites that he would rain down special meat and bread for them to eat.
That night, the Israelites found a type of bird that they could eat called a quail. It was the meat God had promised them. The next morning when the Israelites woke up, they saw small white seed-like flakes covering the ground all around their camp.
When the Israelites first saw the miraculous food God gave them, they called it manna, which means, what is it? God gave every Israelite exactly enough manna and quail to eat each day.
He didn't give them extra, so they had to depend on him to give them exactly what they needed. The Israelites ate the quail and the manna God provided for them for 40 years until they reached the land that God had promised he would give them.
When the Israelites got to the desert, they had no idea what kind of food would be available to eat. They were probably pretty scared.
They had lived in Egypt their whole lives. And now they were out in the middle of nowhere and they had no idea of what would happen next. But they'd forgotten that God had always taken care of them.
I mean, he had just saved them from the powerful, evil Pharaoh in Egypt. We can always trust God to give us what we need. He might not always give us what we want, but he gives us what he knows is best for us.
Sometimes that means giving us just enough so we have to rely on him. But we can make sure that God will always take care of us. That's why the one thing to remember is God gives us exactly what we need.
Complaining about what God is doing in your life is kind of like this soda and these breath mints. You may start off with something perfectly great, like a nice cold liter of soda, but then you start to complain about it instead of being grateful for what you have. I don't really like this soda. I wish I had something else to drink instead. I like other soda better. I wish I had a bigger glass. I wish I had more soda. It seems pretty silly to complain about something when you know complaining won't make it any better. It makes me think about why we complain. It's usually because something is happening that we don't like or that we think there is something better that we deserve. But the truth is, complaining only makes the situation worse. It doesn't change what we have and it just distracts us from seeing any good that can come out of it. It makes a big mess. Complaining at its core is not trusting what God is doing. We complain when we think God isn't giving us what we need, or if we think we know what we need better than God. We never have a reason to complain if we trust and follow God. We know He will always take care of us, no matter what. That's why we can choose to not complain.
Hey guys, I'm Pastor Justin, and I want to tell you about a time I chose not to complain. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you like vegetables? Wow, lots of you like vegetables. Good for you. I'll be honest, there's some vegetables I like. I like green beans, that's probably my favorite. I like carrots. I like broccoli. I like sweet potatoes. They're vegetables, right? But there is one vegetable that I do not like. Do you have a guess? It's Brussels sprouts. Have you ever seen Brussels sprouts? I mean, look at these things. They're huge. They look like this little ball of lettuce. And when you cook them, they smell like feet. It's disgusting. I hate everything about them. I don't like them baked. I don't like them fried. I don't like them steamed. It doesn't matter if they have bacon on them or cheese on them or you drench them in ranch dressing. I can't stand Brussels sprouts. A couple weeks ago, our family was making dinner, and it was a feast. I'm telling you, we were grilling steak, we had potatoes, we had these buttery rolls that were so light and fluffy. It was gonna be amazing. We sat down to eat around the table, and all of a sudden, Heather, my wife, says, "Oh, I forgot something." I'm like, man, what could it be? I'm thinking maybe it's dessert, there's some brownies in the oven or something. And she walks over, she opens it up, and instantly I could smell it. I knew what it was. It was Brussels sprouts. No, not Brussels sprouts. I'm like, it's gonna ruin the whole dinner. And in that moment though, I knew I had a choice. And I took a deep breath and told myself, don't complain. And instead, I decided in that moment that I was actually gonna be thankful and show gratitude. So as my wife set the Brussels sprouts down on the table and the fumes are coming in my nose and I'm smelling it and I'm thinking, I thought, I gotta do this. I can't complain. And I looked at my wife and I said, thanks so much for making Brussels sprouts. And I took a spoonful and I put them on my plate. And you know what? I ate every single one of them. I didn't make any faces, I didn't complain, I didn't gag, nothing. I ate them and I was thankful for them. And so I wanna encourage you guys, sometimes you're gonna face situations where you're gonna be tempted to complain. You're gonna be like, no, this can't be happening, I don't want this is terrible, no way, I'm not gonna do it. But I want you to stop yourself and I want you to take a deep breath. And just like I chose not to complain about the Brussels sprouts, you can choose not to complain too.
Jesus says in Matthew 6:31 through 34, don't worry and say, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? All the people who don't know God keep trying to get these things. And your Father in heaven knows that you need them. The thing you should want most is God's kingdom and doing what God wants. Then all these other things you need will be given to you. So don't worry about tomorrow. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
The Israelites didn't need to worry or complain when they didn't think they had enough food, because God had a plan for them. He allowed them to run out of food so he could do a miracle and show them how amazing he is. We can always trust God to take care of us. And that's why the one thing to remember is that God gives us exactly what we need.
God, you are richer than a billionaire. You own the universe and everywhere. You own the great wide oceans. You own the tallest mountains. You made the fish in the sea. You made the birds in the trees. You own the cattle on 1,000 hills and still take care of me. My God is more than rich. My God is full of grace and mercy. My God owns everything, and he still cares for me, the creator of the universe, and he is right here with me. He is right here with me. He is right here with me. Yeah, he is right here. God, you are richer than a billionaire. You own the universe and everywhere. You own the great wide oceans. You own the tallest mountains. You made the fish in the sea. You made the birds in the trees. You own the cattle on 1,000 hills and still take care of me. My God is more than rich. My God is full of grace and mercy. My God owns everything, and he still cares for me, the creator of the universe. His love is so rich, it's never ending. Yeah, His love is so rich. My God is more than rich. My God is full of grace and mercy. Oh, my God owns everything, and He still cares for me. And He is right here with me. My God is more than rich. My God is full of grace and mercy. Oh, my God owns everything, and He still cares for me. The creator of the universe, and He is right here with me. He is right here with me. He is right here with me. You're right here with me. Yeah, He is right here with me.
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Let's take a quick look at our memory verse for the series in Exodus chapter 34, verse 6. It says, "The Lord is a God who shows mercy and is kind. The Lord doesn't become angry quickly. The Lord has great love and faithfulness."
And remember, the one thing for today is God gives me exactly what I need.
And what can we do about that? We can choose not to complain.
These are great things to think about this week and even talk to your friends and family about. To continue your experience, grab your Get Real guide at the download button below this video on sandalskids.tv.
And parents, there's a guide for you too. This guide helps to start conversations about this weekend's message, as well as some simple next steps for you to do together as a family. And if you're not yet, follow us on Instagram at Sandals Kids for more information from Sandals Church Kids.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.